There's a moment you've had more than once. Someone is smiling, saying all the right things, and something in you goes quiet. Not suspicious, just aware. You can't explain it. You just know something doesn't match. Most people call that intuition, a gift even. But you don't experience it as a gift. You experience it as a weight you carry into every room, every conversation, every relationship. Noticing things no one asked you to notice, seeing things no one else seems to see. That's not sensitivity. That's a mind that never fully switches off. And here's what no one tells you about seeing through people clearly. It doesn't make you feel powerful. Most of the time, it makes you feel alone. Because the same awareness that protects you also keeps you from ever fully resting inside a moment. What that does to a person, that's what this is about. You're sitting across from someone. They're smiling, saying the right things, laughing at the right moments, and something in you goes completely still. Not alarmed, not suspicious, just quiet. Like a part of your brain that nobody else seems to have just switched on without asking permission. You can't point to anything specific. The words are fine. The tone is fine. But underneath all of it, something doesn't line up. And you know it the way you know a room smells different before anyone mentions it. The strange part isn't the noticing. The strange part is looking around and realizing no one else caught it. They're still laughing, still nodding, still fully inside the performance. And you're already somewhere else, sitting behind the curtain, watching the ropes. This has happened more than once, more than a dozen times. In job interviews, on first dates, inside conversations that looked warm but felt hollow. Most people would call that intuition, a gift even. But here's what no one tells you about this kind of awareness. It doesn't make you feel powerful. Most of the time, it makes you feel alone. And there is actually a name for what your brain is doing. Researchers call it thin slicing, the ability to extract accurate meaning from very thin windows of information. A glance, a half-second pause, a smile that moves the mouth but not the eyes. Your brain processes the nonverbal channel with unusual sensitivity. While most people are listening to what someone says, your brain is running a parallel scan, tracking micro-expressions, monitoring vocal tone, measuring the gap between what is being performed and what is actually present. Dr. Paul Ekman spent decades documenting facial movements that last less than a fifth of a second, flickers of real emotion that surface before the social mask can cover them. Most people miss them entirely. You don't. And here is the thing worth sitting with. This is not anxiety. It is not projection. It is not you looking for problems that aren't there. It is a real cognitive pattern, documented, studied, mapped. What you have been quietly apologizing for your entire life is actually your brain working, just working faster and deeper than the people around you realized. That is the validation, but it is also exactly where the weight begins. Picture a workplace. A coworker has been visibly struggling, or performing struggle. Missed deadlines, tearful conversations in the break room, a careful cultivation of sympathy from everyone within earshot. The whole office is gathered around them with understanding and comfort, and you see something different. You see the pattern, the timing of the tears, the way the story shifts slightly depending on who is listening. You say nothing for weeks. Then one day, one honest sentence slips out, measured, accurate, not unkind, and the room changes temperature instantly. The coworker looks at you like you've just done something unforgivable. You were right. That is almost irrelevant now. When someone's hidden truth gets named, even gently, even accurately, the brain doesn't respond with gratitude. It responds with threat. Psychologists call this ego defense. The person doesn't acknowledge what was seen. They reframe you as the problem, cold, arrogant, lacking empathy. Truth is not neutral. It is experienced as violence by the person who needed it to stay hidden. So you learn. You go quiet. You watch and say nothing. You smile at the performance like everyone else. But silence has a cost too. And that cost is slow, internal, and almost impossible to explain to anyone who isn't already carrying it. And after a while, it stops being only about other people. It starts following you inward. Your partner sends a message 2 hours later than usual. A short reply, slightly different tone, and something in you, the same system that reads rooms, that catches half-second expressions, starts scanning. Not because you distrust them, because the radar doesn't distinguish between threat and safety. It just runs. A gift arrives, and your first internal question isn't warmth. It's why now? A compliment lands, and somewhere beneath the surface, your brain is already asking what it's setting up. You catch yourself rereading a message, not because you missed something, but because you're looking for something you hope isn't there. The same sensitivity that protects you in a room full of strangers follows you into the places where you most want to rest. Layer 1 is recognizing the pattern. Layer 2 is quieter and harder. This vigilance was never born from distrust. It was built from a long history of being right while everyone else was wrong. Your nervous system learned that staying alert was the only way to not be caught off guard. The armor works. It has always worked. But armor doesn't know when the war is over. And it is very heavy to wear inside a relationship that is actually safe. And the weight gets heavier in another way too. Because sometimes you're not just reading people one-on-one. Sometimes you're carrying truths no one ever asked you to hold. You're at a wedding. Everyone around you is celebrating. The couple is at the front, and the room is full of flowers and feeling and the quiet collective agreement that this moment is beautiful. And you catch it. A glance across the room that lasts half a second too long. A smile on the bride's face that reaches her eyes everywhere except when she looks at him. Something beneath the surface, like a crack in a wall the paint is still covering. You raise your glass anyway. You say the words. You mean them as much as you can. This is the loneliness that belongs specifically to people who see everything. Not the loneliness of being alone. The loneliness of standing inside a moment while privately watching it from somewhere far away. You carry things no one handed you. Truths about people who don't know you're holding them. Awareness of endings that haven't arrived yet. And because you carry it quietly, because you never perform your exhaustion the way others perform theirs, people assume you're fine. The one who notices everything is almost always the last one anyone thinks to check on. This ability, if you never learn to carry it differently, will quietly consume you. But if you do, it becomes something rare, something most people never develop at all. That exhaustion has a name now, and sometimes just naming it is enough to breathe again. So what do you do with an ability like this? Go back to that first moment, sitting across from someone, something not matching, the quiet internal signal arriving before the thought. It looks the same from the outside, but something underneath it can be different. An X-ray machine has one function. It finds what's broken. It cannot choose what to scan. It runs on everything all the time, regardless of whether the information is useful or wanted or survivable. A lighthouse sees the same rocks, the same dangerous currents, the same hidden things, but it doesn't chase every ship. It simply holds its position, stays lit, and guides the ones who need it. The ability doesn't disappear. It never does. But the relationship with it can shift from something that happens to you towards something you choose what to do with. Seeing everything and reacting to everything are not the same thing. That distinction, quiet as it is, changes what this ability costs and what it can eventually become. This level of perception is a brutal gift, but it is also the most powerful one, if you learn how to carry it instead of being crushed by it. If you recognized yourself somewhere in this video, you are not alone. More people than you think are walking through life carrying the same weight in the same silence. So tell me, which part of this hit closest to home? Drop it in the comments. And if this gave you something real today, share it with someone who might need to hear it. I'll see you in the next one.